But now I can't do a dig. Like,
Jesus fucking
nice
Christ, let's get on with it.
Yeah, Eli.
Eli, come on up.
Quick, before we talk too much.
Seriously.
There he is. Woo! Oh, hey, Eric would like you to buffer.
Yeah, no. We're gonna get you right here.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh no. All right.
I'd like to just do a
Ladies and
disclaimer.
gentlemen.
Any jokes made by our guest or positions held do not necessarily represent the official position of the Atheist Community of Austin.
Yeah, it's been a good run. This is Eric's last episode.
just who here saw the live show last night? Yeah, there it is. Yes.
Who didn't see the live show last night? Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. Sorry, I gotta do it.
And now you have an idea of why.
On behalf of the Atheist Community of Austin, fuck you. Let's advocate for some violence. Throw acid at people who didn't come to the show last night.
Nope.
Do it.
Yeah, this is going great, Jamie.
That's the official position
This is great.
of Atheists of Austin.
Okay, now I see what you mean, Eric. It's fine.
Right? No. You brought this on yourself. Tell me more. What else should we do to people, Eli?
Blow up their car if they don't come to your weird library that you sit in all alone. That's open 7 days a week now. Because you had people being like, excuse me, I showed up on a Sunday.
Well, that's the day that most people show up because those are the live shows. So you can see Talk Heathen live there every Sunday at 1 p.m. Central, or the second other show.
Support us on Patreon or we'll circumcise your son.
I'm so happy right now. This is good. This is good. Hold on.
Nope. Yeah. No, don't get. All right. There it is. All right. Some good came from this. No. Yeah.
All right.
Patreon.com/talkheathen to me.
All right.
Like
So
and subscribe.
Eli, dude. You know what? It's great to have you on the stage. I know we've only gotten the chance to meet a few times, but I'm a huge fan of what you do. So for people who don't know what you do, let's plug your shows first.
I am on The Scathing Atheist, Godawful Movie, Citation Needed, and The Skeptocrat.
Check them out. And you have a blog?
It's apparent that I have a blog. I haven't found it for a while, but it's out there.
I know.
It's out there.
I'm trying.
Eric,
bro.
I didn't tell you this. I was talking with him to arrange like the logistics, and I asked him, "Oh yeah, and is your blog still a thing?" And he said yes. And then I felt really shitty because I was like, "Oh yeah, that blog thing that you do and care about, and that highlights the issues that you care about, is that still a thing?" I didn't even bother to Google it before talking to you on the phone.
Read my blog or I'll light you on fire.
Not the official position of the ACA, but yes,
Which
I will
is the
definitely
official
read your
Which
book.
is the official position of the Atheist Community of Austin.
I will light
You're
you
an
on
employee.
fire.
This hat is itchy. Why? Okay, anyway.
I think it's your hair. It's fine.
So,
I'm fine.
you all came up with the plan. What the fuck's going on?
What? What do you mean?
What?
We're talking to Eli now.
I'm real scared. All right.
Behind the scenes a little bit, Eli has literally said, "You know what I love about you guys? You're always very well prepared."
Yeah. Nope.
No.
All right.
Sorry, Kevin.
Dude.
Well, okay.
Let's actually just jump into it.
Yeah.
We wanted to ask you a little bit about yourself because you kind of just appeared out of nowhere. I was listening to Scathing when you showed up. How did you even get involved in the movement, man?
So I worked in the same building as Noah and Heath. And then they went off and started this crazy podcast thing, which I was a huge fan of at first. And then, it's one of those things where when you work in an environment, you find the other atheist across the crowded lunchroom. She gets it, right? Where you're just like, there you are. You get me. So they were my atheists. And they were like, hey, why don't you come on the show? We're doing this little bit. This is when they were going to elect the new pope. They were like, you should come on and run for pope. So I came on and ran for pope on a platform of pedophilia. And it turns out the real pope beat me to that. So stole my thing. If anyone sees Francis, please tell him he owes me some money. But that was the first experience we had. And then whenever anyone would leave their company, they would do a roast. Okay. And if you're not familiar with what a roast is, I don't know, looking around the room, some of you were bullied in high school. You imagine if you did that on purpose with a microphone, that's what a roast is. Yeah. So they used to do this for their people when they left the company, and I went up and did it, and they liked what I did, and we started doing more and more appearances, and I already loved terrible movies, and that turned into Godawful movies, and now The Scathing Atheist and the rest of our shows.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Well, so the question I always like to ask, I'm not sure whether I got to ask them last year or not, but I want to hear that was weird thing for me to bring up. What's your sort of deconversion story, or did you ever actually believe that God
so
existed?
I was a very religious Jew, and my father was a Maimonic scholar, which means he's like pre-William Lane Craig, when all the apologetics were like, stop it, you're upsetting your mother. So my father was a Maimonic scholar, and so I grew up in a pretty religious Jewish household, and then, I think a lot of us, I moved away, and I was like, wait a second, right? So in college, I sort of moved further and further away from religion, but I still considered myself Jewish, sort of culturally and ethnically, and sort of kept the wooey beliefs of Judaism. And funnily enough, I was about a freshman or a sophomore in college, and I saw an animated version of Pale Blue Dot by Dan Meth. This is one of the very first viral videos of my college times, was this animated version of Pale Blue Dot. And I was watching it 4 a.m, and the line "thousands of confident religions" just struck me in the head like a thrown brick. And I sort of went they all think they're right, and either one of them's right or none of them are, and I think it's the second one. And from there, I sort of moved in, and this was sort of the post-2001 new atheism boom, so I had a lot of YouTube, a lot of Intelligence Squared debates, which I think is a lot of us sort of easing ourselves in, those sort of midnight YouTube sessions where you're Googling Christian destroyed by search. All right, I don't know who that guy is, but I'll watch it. And so that was sort of my gradual start of the movement. And then as I met Noah and Heath, I got introduced to the real movement, which is stuff like AACon and FFRF, and the amazing work being done by our fellow podcasters and advocates, and have sort of fallen deeper and deeper in love with it since then.
That's awesome, dude.
Awesome.
I'm really glad you made it.
Yeah. That's it. That's an answer so good I can't think of a follow-up. So you searched Christian destroyed and debate and stuff. So are you telling me that you found Matt Dillahunty, and then that helped? Or?
Matt was so I have told this story before at a live show that we did. So Matt was actually one of my first exposures to sort of YouTube, and I was a regular listener to Atheist Experience, and sort of always envisioned the calls in my head. I don't know if any of you are ex-religious people. Some of you are, I'm sure. But you never got the courage to call Atheist Experience because you were afraid, but you had arguments with Matt Dillahunty in your head. You were and then I'm going to be but God loves me. And Matt's going to be what? This kid is my best friend and I'm Jewish now. And so, it's one of those things where it's not hero worship, but it's definitely part of someone who helped you get out of faith. And then the very first time I ever saw or met Matt, I was dressed as Daisy Duke. And if you needed to sum up my career, that would be just meeting your heroes dressed as Daisy Duke.
I mean, he had full ass hanging out. I was there. It was burned into my retina.
Nobody drops it like it's hot like me.
I mean,
yes. I don't know that needs a testimonial, but yes.
Thank you.
We'll do this later.
Check out my Yelp reviews.
I'm gonna outdo you. We'll do this later.
I will have a twerking contest with you right now. They do this on Atheist Experience all the time. Don't be weird.
Very well respected show.
All right. Are you ready?
All right. I'm trapped now.
Here's my drop it like it's hot.
All right, what do you got?
points for sass.
Okay, yeah. I'll work on it.
We switched seats. We did it.
All right.
Okay.
We should.
It's my
It can be-
prize.
what if it's the
The
guest
hat gets around.
It's the guest hat.
I heard that it traveled from head to head last night while I was elsewhere, and
And it's
you
off
had
again.
stolen it.
Sorry, I've seen you all.
You were part of it. All right.
Bathing is part of the institution. All right, buddy.
So,
I like that Heath is laughing in the audience because there's stories they've shared about that.
but Eli, getting to kind of a serious thing, I know that you wanted to talk about a couple things while we're up here when we're talking about using this platform. Yeah. What did you want to talk about?
So I have two controversial statements I want to make to lose.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eli Bosnick.
That's
Let's
right,
hear
the
it for
whole
us.
room.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
When
all
did you
right.
limit it to 2? And please tell me you didn't get the most controversial ones, because I have no idea
No,
what
listen to my statements or I'll kill your dad. If they start, I'll just jock jams if it goes badly. Nice.
Okay.
No, you're good.
So I have two controversial statements that we can talk about while we're here, and we've got a Q&A where you can be mad about both of them. The first one, I think, is going to be pretty easy for this room, which is if you are an atheist, you are a social justice advocate. I've got some bad news for you. If you are an atheist because you have gotten one philosophical pop quiz correct, which is how many gods there are, your atheism is useless. Your atheism needs to be about fighting theocracy and advocating against theocracy. And I think that's a pretty easy statement to make in this room, all right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now I'm going to lose all of you. Are you ready? If you're a social justice advocate, you're an atheist advocate, which means that woke Christian you know in your life, you need to start talking to them about the fact that they're supporting an international rape cabal. All right? Pete Buttigieg believes in a talking ghost. Yes!
That's fair. Dude, yes, absolutely.
I didn't think those would go over well. I was really hoping one person would be like, don't tell me what to do! Get side-tackled by Mayor Pete.
Well, the interesting thing is, we talk about how great things have been this last year. It's not great for everybody. There are some people who I really wish could be in front of the camera more often, who could be behind the, in front of the microphone more often, but because of who they are, I've seen avalanches of hate. I've seen huge campaigns of people because they really, really just want to write in and weigh in on their humanity. And that's not something Jamie and I have had to deal with. And so I absolutely agree. I think that's an incredibly important thing to bring up.
It's also not something we put up with at the ACA. Just in case you were wondering about whether you should show up and harass people, the answer is no.
Jamie will boot your ass.
Yeah.
He's really good at it.
Or whether you're going to do that systematically in the YouTube comments, you're gone.
But
backstory.
I absolutely agree. We do have a lot of work to do, and it's something that we can say up here on the stage, but if you think just the three of us can affect the change that we need, you're out of your mind.
Yes. Thank you.
We have to work together on it. And start. It's easy. See something, say something. Right? If somebody's out there and they think that, I've got this really funny kind of off-color joke, I'm going to say it anyway. It's not funny. Fucking keep it to yourself. Go away. We need to build a better movement, and we're not going to sit and wait for someone else to be courageous enough to stand up and say, no, that's not okay. And so by moving forward, that's how we're going to do it. Eli, I really appreciate you bringing that up, man.
Yeah, thanks.
And just to piggyback off that, I had a great conversation literally right before this show with Jason. One of the things that you can do is be an advocate for people who don't feel like they have a way into the movement, right? You're walking around a con with 800 people minimum. And I see people sitting in the corners. And if you've been sitting in a corner, at some point I have descended on you, like the social vulture that I am, and been like, hi, where are you from? Welcome, I love you. And that can be part of it, right? Not all of us are social advocates. Not all of us are able to turn up the volume on persecuted voices or quieter voices. But just making someone who doesn't feel welcome in this room or any room that you're in feel welcome, feel like they're part of the movement, ask them what they can contribute, that can change someone's life. You know, the example I always give of this is, how many of you know about Michael Marshall over at QED and Merseyside Skeptics over in Manchester, England? So Michael Marshall saw an episode of bullshit and changed his life. He saw an episode of a television show that, look, we all like bullshit, right? But that was a funny show which I enjoyed, right? I was just like, ha! Homeopathy, got him, boom, high five myself. But Marsh saw that show and has since gone on to do truly, incredible work in England. And it was because someone reached out the hand when he asked and said, what can you contribute? And it's turned into more and more and more. And I think when we see advocates like the gentleman that I'm sharing the stage with and pretty much anyone in our community, it's because someone was the first person that reached out that hand and said, what can you contribute? And the answer was something incredible. So don't be afraid to be the person who reaches out that hand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay. You beat me to the punch because I was going to say, yeah, no, that's what happened to me. I'm really lucky I was born and raised and was still living in Austin. Otherwise, I don't know what I would be doing. I just know that, 5 years ago, if you'd asked, I would have told you that a God existed. And 4 years ago, I wasn't involved or a member of any atheist organization. And 3 years ago, I didn't have a position in any atheist organization or a show. But I showed up and I did everything I could. And even before Eric had an official position, everyone informally called him the ACA's greeter on Sundays because he talked to everyone. And that, I think, has helped contribute the growth of our community. And you can do that as well, right? Everyone knows that, sure, there's panels, there's speakers, etc. But one of the best things about the con that isn't listed on the agenda is the fact that there's one bar that's walking distance from everyone's room, and it's full of atheists every night. And that is what builds community. The number of times that I'm preaching, and we should be asking you. But right now I'm
soapbox, and it's important.
I'm on a soapbox. I'm sitting in the middle, so therefore I'm important. All right. So the number of times I've been told or answered things on our Reddit or on r/atheism of like, well, no, people that don't believe, that doesn't build community. That's not what people have built community around. So one, community is human. I don't give a shit whether it's Comic-Con or AA-Con or Shoe-Con or whatever. It's people getting together and speaking, and they have a icebreaker, which is shoes or whatever. And two, people believing in fucking ghosts and that their imaginary friend can grant their wishes builds communities and has built them for hundreds of years. And those communities are toxic, fundamentally at the core. So the fact that we don't have that toxicity is more than enough for us to gather around and be humans together, which is what community is.
All right.
So the takeaway here is you gotta have friends.
Nope, not doing it.
Oh, if a band had started, that would have been so good.
Right? Nope.
There's a song called You've Gotta Have Friends, just for
All right, but we do have...
read up music.
And Aaron
Eli?
keeps track of time.
I appreciate you coming up, man. Thank you so much. Let's hear for Eli Bosnick.